Hello, dear colleagues. My name is Goodman Tastanbek, and I'm an English language instructor at Kazakhstan University. Today, I would like to present my project titled Translanguaging for Transforming Kazakhstani Undergraduate Students' Academic Writing. My presentation will be in the following parts. So first of all, I would like to explain you the reason that I decided to conduct this study. I was inspired to uh, consider this topic, first of all, because I was concerned about my students' academic writing, and since it's an EMI university and this course that I was teaching is a hybrid course, I thought that we can still use students' whole linguistic repertoire, and I thought that since there are different levels of English writing competence, and they are all facing different challenges related to writing, I might as well use translanguaging for writing purposes. And I invited 72 students to participate in the study, and 37 of them agreed to be part of it. And all those students are users of Kazakh, Russian, and English languages, and they translanguage on the daily basis. And as an instructor, I also share the same or a very similar linguistic repertoire as the students. I asked the following research questions. First of all, how does translanguaging pedagogy affect the writing competence of students? And the second question is, how does instructors' encouragement of translanguaging affect the students' beliefs about translanguaging? Looking at the different literature related to bilingual education and translanguaging in writing, I think that we can say that creating translanguaging space and adapting translingual approach to writing may contribute to redefining and shifting away from monolingual norms in writing especially. Pedagogic translanguaging in general can be used in writing to enhance learners' agency, to redesign and transform writing. It can also be used for improving their participation during lessons and for their better understanding of writing concepts too. And it can also be said that translanguaging pedagogically may help generate ideas and structure information in their writing. It can be used for paraphrasing purposes and understanding text better, and translanguaging can be used pedagogically for writing drafts and for expressing creativity and also showing metalinguistic awareness in writing too. In all of that, teachers can also help by modeling translingual writing practices and encouraging students to demonstrate their languages and assert their bilingual or multilingual identities during lessons and beyond. As for methodology, let me tell you about the participants. So the researcher or the instructor is me. I am a native Kazakh language user, and I'm also proficient in Russian and English. 37 students that decided to participate in this study are first-year undergraduate students from across Kazakhstan, majoring in cybersecurity, digital journalism, big data analysis, telecommunication systems, and software engineering. They use Kazakh and Russian as their mother tongue, and there are more proficient users of Russian in comparison with Kazakh. And most of them are intermediate English language users, with some of them being basic level English language users. For completing the survey, they mostly chose English, and some of them chose Russian, but none used Kazakh. The experiment was introduced to them at the beginning of the winter trimester, which begins in January. Once they were given information about the assignment that they need to complete for the trimester, they were also given some information about the project. As you see on the right side, there is a screenshot from my PowerPoint presentation that I showed them during the lesson. I gave them some examples of translanguaging. The screenshots in black backdrop are the examples of translanguaging, and I also explained why it may benefit them to participate in the study, and I also gave them information on why I am interested in conducting the study. Of course, they were also given a consent form that they signed on Microsoft Forms if interested in the project, and 37 students showed interest, and they were given additional instructions to translanguage to complete the writing assignment. The experiment itself consisted of writing activities that followed this pattern here: original, transition, and final stages of drafting or writing the parts of the essay. On the right side, you can see some samples of outline and paraphrasing and summary that show them what translanguaging might look like. So this is how I modeled translanguaging on the basis of my own translanguaging practices. and the different colors represent the different stages or the different kinds of translanguaging that they can use in writing. And you can also see the template that we use during the lesson to make it clear for them what exactly they expected to produce if they are to participate in the project. Mainly, they were instructed or they were encouraged to translanguage for writing their outline, paraphrases, and summaries, as well as drafting. Students were given additional time for outlining and writing their work online on Padlet. After drafting the whole essay, students were instructed to translate and revise their rough draft so that they can submit the final version of their work on Moodle for assessment. After the experiment was complete, students were asked to take a survey that consisted of 17 questions. Some of the questions were related to student background, some of them were related to writing practices and the use of translanguaging in writing, as well as instructors' encouragement to translanguage. Student writing samples were collected from Moodle, where they submitted their essay drafts and the final draft of their essay. Based on the survey results, we can say that students think translanguaging practices positively impact writing. Most students either agree or strongly agree that using multiple languages or translanguaging can influence positively their writing, especially in terms of vocabulary, content, structure, and somewhat positively on their grammar too. So various translanguaging practices such as the use of Google Translate and other online tools for paraphrasing, writing using Kazakh and or Russian first and then translating to English, using sources in Kazakh and Russian to write in English, and then using Kazakh, Russian, or several languages to give written peer feedback were regarded useful in writing by at least 63.9% of the students that took this survey. Generally, we can also say that students translanguage to outline. Less than half of the participants used English only, while others opted for different languages such as Kazakh, Russian, or two or more of the above languages. For their reasons for using only English, they said that it is because they are learning English and they want to improve their language use in English, and also it was challenging for some of them to juggle several languages in one essay. And some selected Russian or Kazakh because they have a good academic background in those languages, and one student said that they understand how to structure their essay in Russian better, and they can just translate everything that they wrote later after they are done. And you can see some samples of outlines here, and we can also notice that there are different approaches to translanguaging in writing. There are some examples of inter and intrasentential translanguaging, and we can also see that this translanguaging practices here include some use of English and Russian more commonly than Kazakh. For citing, they use mostly English, as they say. 24 students out of 35 that completed this question reported using English, while some used Russian, and three only chose multiple languages or translanguaging practices. The reasons for choosing these languages or practices are quite similar to the previous question. For example, for choosing several languages and translanguaging, they gave such a reason as I used Kazakh language only first and then translated everything to English. And they also said that sometimes some academic words will be difficult to translate into English. That's why they wrote in Kazakh or Russian or other languages first. There are some citation samples here, and although they said that Kazakh was not used that much when responding to the question, we can see some samples of translanguaging with some Kazakh. For example, looking at the bottom screenshot here, we can see that 3 languages were used in combination, and generally all the students followed the original transition and final pattern, and yes, transition stage either entirely consisted of one language or intrasentential translanguaging. For drafting, they used multiple languages, and around half of the participants preferred English only, and despite Kazakh being the majority's first language, they still used Russian more commonly for drafting. Here we can see some samples of drafts, and we can see different proportions of the languages. And for example, sometimes they use mostly English with some Kazakh or Russian, and we can also see some samples with mostly Russian with some English language use. On the right side, we can see 3 examples of introduction where they combine the languages differently. When asked about their plans for the future and their current language use, they said that currently most of the students prefer using English only, and 56% of the students consider translanguaging positively. Others think using English only is more beneficial for learning English. And when asked to explain why they are ready to translanguage, they said that it's easy, fast, and understandable, and it makes some complex things easier to understand. And it is easier to plan and think about your ideas. And one student said that they started using their native language to structure their essay. Generally, we can also see that students appreciated the instructor's explicit and implicit encouragement to use translanguaging, because such encouragement helped them feel empowered, and it also helped them grow academically, especially in terms of writing. So it established a safe space for exploring creative ways of writing. It positively affected their writing skills and increased their appreciation of their mother tongues or tongue, and also it created a sense of community with students that use the same language. And it also affected positively their attitude to the use of different languages in writing. Most of the students confessed that they either received no encouragement, or maybe they were encouraged in the past to translanguage, with only 13 students saying that they were encouraged to translanguage by others, either explicitly or implicitly. So if we look at what we said earlier, we can say that if students are given agency, they can translanguage to transform their writing practices and shift away from monolingual writing norms. Of course, if given proper samples and proper modeling from instructors. Translanguaging was a practice that is preferred because it was convenient for generating ideas and other things related to outlining, paraphrasing, and drafting in agreement with the literature on this topic. And translanguaging was also used for demonstrating student languages, and it was also a tool for channeling creativity and playing with language expression. Some samples show Kazakh, Russian, and English words, even where they could possibly use only one language, but still students decided to creatively write and show their languages. Generally, we can say that encouragement and translanguaging go hand in hand. So if students are encouraged to translanguage, they appreciate it. And although they were hesitant to translanguage sometimes in writing, they still showed interest in it. And most agree that if they are encouraged to translanguage, they feel that there is more sense of community, and there is more space for writing creatively and asserting their multilingual identities. So to conclude, we can say that pedagogic translanguaging in academic writing can be a way for students to be creative, to show their metalinguistic awareness, and to generally have fun. And various types of pedagogic translanguaging can improve students' mastery of different aspects of language, and translanguaging specifically in writing can help students outline, cite, and draft if given adequate resources, instructions, samples, and templates. And instructors' encouragement to use translanguaging in class may positively impact students' translanguaging beliefs. It can improve their writing and create an empowering translanguaging space. As for limitations, we can say that the limitations are mainly related to methodology. So the methodology of this study could be more rigorous, and the activities could be more elaborate. The in-class activities or practices could be more extensive, and generally the survey data can also be analyzed better. So some of the implications are for instructors. Instructors may need to make instructions for translanguaging pedagogy more explicit and detailed so that students can use their full repertoire in writing academically and improving their English. University administration may need to address the use of translanguaging openly, first of all, to empower students and strengthen their academic skills. And another reason is to let the English language instructors at the university be more linguistically and culturally responsive. Thank you so much. If you have any questions regarding my presentation, research methods, or any other aspects of this presentation, please reserve your questions for our Q&A session. See you. Thank you. Goodbye.